my beloved child. The very moment your ears paused upon these words, an unseen movement took place in the spiritual realm, one you have not fully perceived yet. You may think you merely happened to scroll past, accidentally brushing against a fragment of sound among the thousands of things that come across your ears each day. But I tell you this, nothing in this moment is accidental. It is not because of your habits, nor due to some random choice, but because I have tilted time, bent circumstances, and redirected the small streams of your day so that you would stand precisely at this appointed intersection set long before the foundations of the world. You do not hear the footsteps of the angel walking beside you, but I hear every stirring of the unseen realm, every vibration between light and darkness colliding to open a narrow beam through which you might see me in the midst of what has felt suffocating. There have been countless times I came very near, yet your heart heavy with concerns could not recognize me. But today, I will not let the soil of your heart pass through this moment in barrenness. I will not allow worry, confusion, or the weary echoes of the past to drown my voice. I step into this moment like a father bending low to call his child who has been staring at the ground, forgetting that the sky rests right above. I do not knock with thunder. I touch lightly, but that touch is strong enough to awaken a gentle alertness. Because, my child, the hour has come. This moment is not a meaningless continuation of yesterday. It is the hour I place my hand upon your life and reverse what you thought would drag on forever. Let me tell you this, there are things happening in the invisible realm that your eyes cannot see, though your soul has already sensed them through nameless sadness, hollow waves of emptiness, and unexplainable tremors within. You thought they were fleeting emotions, temporary sensitivities, but in truth, they were signals heaven sent to alert you that you are standing before a significant shift. The pressures you cannot explain, the delays that feel unreasonable, the sudden blows to your mind that make you want to give up, all of these are signs of a fracture forming between the reality you see and the reality I am establishing for you. I know there were times you swallowed your cries because you feared others would not understand. I know there were mornings you looked into the mirror, searching for the person you once were, but found only red eyes weary from sleepless nights. I know there were nights you wished to wake without the heaviness pressing on your chest, only to find it lying over you again like a stone. Yet even in the moments when you believed I was the most silent, I was watching you with the greatest attentiveness. I have never seen you through the lens of your failures, weaknesses, or confusion. I have always seen you through the intention I placed in your soul before the dawn of time. That intention has not aged with the years, has not faded with injury, has not been distorted by the opinions of others. You belong to me, and everything that belongs to me is guarded with a care deeper than you have ever imagined. You think I come with thunder or obvious signs, but sometimes I choose to come in stillness like this in the midst of an ordinary moment. In a small pause, in a breath, you lift upward without knowing why. I come to tell you you are not walking the wrong path. Even if you feel lost at a foggy crossroads, you are not forgotten. Even if answers seem delayed, you are not a failure. Even when everything around you appears to collapse, my child, do not lean on emotions that shift like passing clouds. Listen for me in the quiet spaces of your soul, for at this very moment, I am laying the foundation of a new season. Remember that the fiercest battles always strike just before breakthrough. When Moses stood at the Red Sea, my people trembled at the sound of chariots roaring behind them. They could not see the path beneath the waters until I commanded it to appear. In the same way, you are standing at the threshold of a path the world insists cannot exist. You cannot see it because it has not opened yet, But I have seen it for a long time, and because you cannot see, I intervene in this moment to pull your mind away from the noise that is dragging your soul toward doubt. My child, I want you to breathe slowly. Place your hand over your heart and let yourself feel that the very breath within you is proof that I have not finished your story. I have not withdrawn my promise. I have not looked away from you, even when you believed you were far outside my gaze. Do you know why I speak to you with such gentleness? Because you have walked through days that were too heavy for an ordinary human being. You have stood in winds that should have broken you. Yet here you are. You think it was survival instinct, but it was I holding you up. Without my hand, your heart would have shattered under the invisible blows you endured. But I stood behind you, shielding you from attacks you never even saw. My child, sometimes long endurance makes you so weary that you can no longer distinguish my voice from the whispers of anxiety. But I do not fault you for this. I only want you to know that you do not need to be strong for me to draw near. I do not need you to be ready, full of faith, or steady. I need only the smallest opening in your heart so I may plant a seed of peace. And from that seed, I will grow a great tree. You cannot heal yourself. You cannot erase the memories that ache within you. But I can. What I do in you transcends psychological rules and human limitations. I do not mend by erasing. I heal by transforming the very nature of your pain. In this very hour, the atmosphere around your soul is changing. I do not say this as hollow comfort. I say it because I am doing it now. I am gathering the fragments you've hidden away, collecting the silent sobs no one heard, lifting the parts of you you believed were forever broken. You may not see, but my angel stands beside you, sword of light in hand, cutting through invisible cords of fear, self-condemnation, and doubt that clung to you from the dark days. I am calling your name, calling it clearly, so your soul may remember where it came from. My beloved child, you are not a lost one, wandering without direction. You are the one I have chosen. You are the one I have kept. You are the one I have loved. And I have stepped into this very moment to ensure that you do not miss the season I am unfolding right before your eyes. Child, there are questions you have carried within for a long time, questions that rise to your lips only to be swallowed again because you fear hearing answers you do not want. But I heard them long before your sigh ever escaped. I know the nights when you wondered in the quiet, do you still think of me? Do you still watch over me among so many? Am I nothing more than a name drifting across a sea of faces? Forgotten by everyone. You never spoke such things aloud because you feared irreverence. But I have never blamed you for these doubts. A wounded child always trembles when reaching out again. And I have never expected you to be stronger than you are. Understand this with the certainty of your own breath. You have never left my sight. There were seasons when you felt you were walking in darkness. But in truth, that darkness was the place I hid you, shielding you from the spears that were flying toward you. You did not see the schemes aimed at your soul, but I saw every invisible bullet, every poisonous word spoken in rooms where you were not present, and I prevented them from ever touching you. You think you survived because you were resilient, but in truth, I stood between you and the blade that sought to pierce you. There were seasons when you felt abandoned in my silence. But I want you to remember the olive trees in Gethsemane, where I knelt and sweated blood before the dawn of resurrection. My silence is never abandonment, it is preparation. I often do my greatest work in the moments when you think I am farthest away, just as a potter cannot speak to the clay while it spins beneath his hands. I placed my hands on your life without words, so you would not be distracted by sound and forget to feel my touch. Those days that felt like breaking were the very days I saw you most clearly. I saw you force a smile while your heart felt crushed. I saw you restrain yourself from retaliating even when you were wronged. I saw the nights you stayed awake, begging for even the smallest direction. I saw you place your trust in me when life made no sense. I saw you choose what was right when all you wanted was to give up. And my child, not a single tear you shed failed to move my heart. There are things you have never spoken to anyone, not because you wanted to hide them, but because you feared that if you said them aloud, you might break apart entirely. I know them all. I know the memories you avoid because they still cut like knives. I know the wounds inflicted by others that shook your sense of worth. I know the moments you whispered to yourself, "Am I a burden? Am I worthy of being loved?" And I tell you now, with majesty and tenderness, you were never a burden. You have always been my delight. I have looked at you through a lens utterly different from the one you use on yourself. You see failure, I see potential. You see ruins, I see the space where something new will rise. You see limitations, I see a door waiting to open. You see delay, I see the process necessary to make you steady when blessings come. I do not measure you by accomplishments, by how well you perform, or by the perfection you try to reach. I measure you by the perseverance that has carried you this far. Many appear strong in the eyes of the world, but are fragile in mine. You are the opposite. You have endured things that would have undone others. I have seen every hidden battle you fought alone. You thought no one noticed, so you suffered in silence. But I watched every wave that crashed against your soul. Every moment you stood again while emptiness pressed around you. And in the very moments when you believed you were at your weakest, I saw most clearly the strength I placed within you. For true strength is not seen in those who never fall, but in those who rise again after each fall. My child, there is a reason the storm has struck you with such force, not because you deserve pain, but because you carry a word and impartation capable of awakening things I have long prepared in your lineage. You may not understand it, but the spiritual realm recognizes the weight of who you are, and darkness fears it. Humans fear what they do not understand. Darkness fears what I have placed within you. That is why it has tried everything to make you forget who you are. Forget my voice. Forget the identity I wrote about in your life. But I have come today to remind you you were never born to be buried. I know that sometimes the very people you love the most are the ones who wound you the deepest. You offered your heart with sincerity, yet they treated it lightly. You extended goodness, and they misunderstood it. You tried to hold a relationship together even as your own heart bled, only to end up with an empty, cold silence. But my child, I have not allowed that betrayal to break your soul. I have used it to lift you out of toxic ties. I do not intend to follow you into the coming season. Some people left your life not because of your fault, but because they could not carry the weight of the anointing I placed on you. My presence upon you unsettled them not because you did wrong, but because the light upon your life exposed the shadows within theirs. I do not blame them, but I also will not let them anchor you to places I have not ordained. Some departures are salvation, not loss. Do not forget, you are not walking this journey to prove anything to anyone. You do not need to be perfect to be used by me. I do not build your future on human opinions. I build it on the intentions I placed in your soul long before you ever opened your eyes to the light of this world. You are the result of my thought, not the byproduct of human mistakes. Now I am drawing you into the quiet of my presence, where your heart can breathe again after months and years of strain. I want you to loosen the defenses you built around yourself out of fear of being hurt again. You don't need to defend yourself from me. I am not here to judge or condemn. I am here to heal. to restore, to put back together the fragments you tried so hard to mend alone. You are enough, even in your unfinished state. You do not need to change for me to love you. You only need to open your heart so that I can begin the changing. You do not need to resolve every issue before coming into my presence. It is precisely when you are undone that I complete you. I have seen your longing, the longing for peace, for direction, for love that is true. And I tell you that longing is not misplaced. You were made to belong to me, to walk in my peace, to be led by my voice, to live in love without conditions. So release the tension in your shoulders. Let me lift your chin. Let your eyes meet mine. I am here, right here, in this moment to speak what your heart has been waiting so long to hear. You are not forgotten. You are not left behind. You are not invisible. You have always been in my heart, my beloved child. When you open your heart to my light, I want you to understand what happens in the unseen realm every time you choose not to quit. You often believe those small choices make no difference. You assume that standing up one more time is a slow, lonely, meaningless effort. But I tell you a truth that earth cannot see, but heaven knows well every time you continue. The ground trembles and darkness retreats. Your small steps are not small in my eyes. They touch the very core of the words spoken over your life before you were formed in your mother's womb. The moment you choose to stand in places where others would collapse, my strength radiates from your soul and shakes the forces that try to choke your hope. Darkness does not fear your loud cries. It fears your quiet perseverance, because that perseverance does not come from emotion, but from the roots I planted in you. All of heaven has witnessed the moments you reached out in exhaustion, whispering a prayer with nothing but breath. To you, it felt like desperation. To me, it was the signal for angels to move. Just as the people of old walked through the wilderness with trembling legs but kept their eyes on the pillar of fire, so do you. You are walking through terrain that looks like nothing but dust and stone. But heaven sees you drawing near to the promised land, already written for you. You think you are merely surviving day by day. I see you breaking through layers of a maze of darkness constructed to keep you from reaching your sacred purpose. And with each turn, I place signs to show you that you are not lost. Remember the days when you felt stuck, as if life were an endless loop of hoping and disappointment. Do you remember those mornings when you woke with a heaviness like stone on your chest? Unsure whether you even had the strength to rise from your bed, you thought you had reached your limit. But I tell you, it was in those moments of limitation that you touched me more deeply than ever before. I do not seek glamorous moments. I seek a sincere heart in the midst of exhaustion. My child, do not underestimate the power of silent steps. The world celebrates noise and grandeur, but I watch the places no one else sees. I have seen when you chose kindness, though your soul was cracked. I have seen when you held back anger to avoid hurting others. I have seen when you forgave while your heart still bled. I know it was not easy. You risked your own sense of safety to open your heart again. But those acts have engraved your name into heaven's memory. Many things you have done in secret are fully seen by me. Every small motion in your soul sparks a great movement in the spiritual atmosphere. When you surrender to me, when you say yes without understanding, when you choose faith even without feeling it, when you kneel in the quiet and whisper a prayer too fragile to form into words, each of those moments becomes a drop of rain falling upon the dry ground of your destiny. And one day, those drops will blossom into a field far greater than you imagine. My child, do not mistake my silence for inactivity. When you see nothing changing, everything is changing. You see the tip of the iceberg. I am moving the part beneath the surface every day. I am pushing back plans formed in darkness that you were never meant to know about. I am clearing paths through resistance you never recognized. I am breaking locks on doors you thought had nothing to do with your future. You see delay, I see protection. You see detours, I see safe routes. You see a dead end, I see a threshold. There have been attacks against your life that only I saw beforehand. More than once. You escaped great harm simply because you happened to change your mind. Happened to take a different route. Happened to rest for a day. Or happened to say something you yourself didn't understand. You believed it was intuition. I know it was the leading of the Holy Spirit. I positioned my angels where they needed to be catching you before the arrows could ever reach you. There were conversations you never heard. Plans formed against you that never materialized. Not because they were weak, but because I dismantled them before they could take shape. When you feel you've lost something, a chance, a relationship, a job, you often assume I am taking from you. But look deeper. Has anything I ever removed from your life failed to be replaced by something better? Has anything you lost not made room for something new? I do not build your future on fragile foundations. I tear down only to place your feet on the rock. I am taking you through a process of reshaping. You are not returning to who you once were. You are being lifted out of the layer of life that exhausted you and being set into a position you once believed you were unworthy of. Every trial you just endured did not come to crush you. It came to reveal what I had hidden within you. You thought you were weak. I saw you strong. You thought you were pitiable. I saw you precious. You thought you were lost. I saw you walking straight ahead. You thought you had nothing significant. I saw the treasure I stored within you on the verge of being revealed. Remember this picture. You are like a clay vessel being placed into the fire, not to be destroyed, but to be strengthened, solidified, made resilient. A potter never places an incomplete vessel into the flames. He only fires those that have been shaped with care. That is why the heat you feel is proof that you have reached a maturity I trust. The fire is not here to burn you away. It is here to make you shine. And I declare this to you with the certainty of the eternal throne. You are not stepping into a new chapter with empty hands. You enter carrying endurance forged by trial, stability no storm can break, and a depth that only souls who have touched the abyss can possess. You are no longer who you once were. You have become someone I can entrust with greater responsibility, greater blessing, and greater light. I have come to shift the reality around you. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, I am opening doors you never knocked on, stirring the hearts of people you have never met, removing obstacles you never even knew existed. All I ask is this: keep walking toward the light I set before you, even if it illuminates only one step. My beloved child, when I say you are chosen, it does not mean I place you on a red carpet or lead you down a path lined with gentle light. On the contrary, my chosen ones often walk through landscapes few can comprehend. There are burdens you carry that others dismiss because they cannot see the unseen tremors pressing against your soul. Sometimes you sit quietly in a room full of people, yet loneliness covers you like a heavy cloak, because no one around you knows the battles you fight in the shadows. You may not know how to explain it, but you feel a weight, a spiritual pressure resting upon your shoulders. You think it is mere fatigue, but it is a signal you are not ordinary. You are chosen for a deeper realm of the spiritual journey. You wonder why doing the right thing sometimes brings pain, why sincerity leads to misunderstanding. Why do you try to build, yet others tear down? Why are your words of goodwill twisted? You think it is random injustice, but in truth it is the natural reaction of darkness to the light I placed in you. The beauty I sowed in your soul unsettles hearts that have not yet healed. They may not say it aloud, but your presence exposes what lies within them. It is not something you caused, it is the light in you that does the revealing. And because of that, you become a target without ever knowing you were marked. For every person I call, there are forces that try to smother that calling from the beginning, not because they are powerful, but because they are afraid. Afraid you will rise from the fog of doubt. Afraid you will learn who you are in my plan. Afraid you will stand in the position I ordained and break generational cycles of smallness that clung to your family for decades. Afraid you will be the first in your bloodline to stand tall, to live rightly, to live brightly, to live with purpose. And so they attack early through words, emotional wounds, repeated failures, broken relationships, relentless fatigue. They do not strike because you are weak. They strike because you are strong, not because you lack value, but because you carry a value the enemy cannot touch. Let me lift the veil for you. Conversations about you have taken place in rooms you've never entered. Some have spoken your name in envy. Some have spoken it in contempt. Some have spoken it with intent to harm. But above all those voices, I have spoken your name in the courts of heaven. When I speak, heaven records it. When I decree, the hosts of heaven take their positions. When I place my seal upon you, no one can remove it, not people, not demons, not circumstances. Look back at the years behind you. Were there not moments when you should have collapsed? Nights when you thought you would not survive until morning because the pressure was overwhelming, yet you are still here. You are still breathing. You are still discerning what is right. You are still reaching for the light. This is no coincidence. This is my power preventing darkness from fulfilling its intent. Darkness wanted you broken, but I did not allow it. It wanted you to halt, but I kept you walking. It wanted you drowning in despair, but I kept enough hope alive in you to keep your heart beating. You have felt behind, slow, left out. But my child, your timing is not the world's timing. I do not craft your destiny according to anyone's expectations. When I prepare something great, I do not let you rush. The slowness of my process is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of precision. The foundation stones must be set firmly before the house can rise high. If I opened your door too early, the weight would crush you. But when I open it at the right time, nothing will be able to shake you. Remember Daniel, who was thrown into the lion's den not for doing wrong, but for doing right. The light in Daniel enraged the darkness, but I shut the mouths of the lions. Likewise, you may be thrown into situations designed to end you, but when I am there, every claw is broken. Danger becomes the backdrop through which my power is displayed in your life. My child, I see your exhaustion. I know you have asked yourself, why me? Why must I walk through battles no one else sees? Why do I carry pressures that feel heavier than what others face? Pressures of family, of lineage, of the past. I tell you this because you are the one I placed in the flow of time, to end what must end, and to begin what has never existed before. You are not merely the carrier of burdens, you are the bearer of answers. You are not just the one who endures, you are the one who will change the story. The reason you have become a target is because you stand at the intersection of my promise and the failure darkness longs to impose. But I declare what I have spoken outweighs everything. Darkness attempts. The enemy does not triumph because it is strong. It triumphs only when you forget who you are. And so I come to remind you, you are the one whose name I have written in the blueprint of light. You are not on the wrong path. You are exactly where you should be. You are not overlooked. You are preserved. You are not discarded. You are set apart for something higher. And the invisible battle you are facing is not a sign of defeat. It is evidence that you are drawing near to the place darkness fears most. My beloved child, darkness often recognizes your value before you do. That may sound strange, but it is precisely why the attacks came so early, before you understood who you were, before you knew what you were called to, before you sensed the power sleeping inside your soul. The enemy does not chase empty vessels. It seeks those marked with purpose. And so your trials are not proof of insignificance, they are proof that you carry a value beyond what you currently comprehend. Have you wondered why your life feels heavier than others? Why do you walk through things your friends never face? Why can small wounds pierce you deeply? Why do the things you long for seem to take so long to come? You thought it was unfair, but in truth it has been preparation. When I assign a spiritual responsibility, I do not allow my chosen ones to be shaped in comfortable places. You must be refined, filtered, strengthened, rebuilt, so that you can carry the blessings I am preparing for you. Darkness knows that once you mature at the right time, it will have no access to you. It knows that an awakened soul cannot go back. It knows that an enlightened mind cannot be manipulated. It knows that a healed heart cannot be easily broken. So it strikes early before you stand firm, before you discern truth from lies, before you learn how to place your heart safely in my hands. But you have passed through more than you realize. There were seasons you thought you had shattered into pieces. You lay there, feeling emptied of life, without light, without hope, without strength to pray. You could only sigh as your tears fell like an involuntary response. Yet in those moments, I held your soul with a tenderness no language can describe. You thought I was silent, but I was speaking through the language only wounded hearts can hear, the language of presence. Do you remember those moments when everything in you seemed to collapse? You did not know what held you together, what kept you going, what stopped you from giving up. You believed it was your own strength, but it was not. It was my hand upholding your soul. I did not allow darkness to exceed its limits. I did not allow hurtful words to stain your identity. I did not allow rejection to define your worth. I did not allow failure to rob you of vision. You stand today not because of your resilience, but because of my faithfulness. My child, you are not opposed because of your mistakes. You are opposed because of your potential. Those who are destined to pioneer must walk into spaces others avoid. You are stepping into territory that previous generations never dared to enter. You are touching things your family never imagined. You are breaking cycles that have persisted for far too long. And whether you see it or not, every step you take leaves a mark in the spiritual realm. Darkness trembles at who you are becoming because it sees it before you do. Have you ever felt like you don't belong anywhere, as if no matter where you stand, you always feel a little different, a little out of place? You thought it was a flaw, but I say it is a divine distinction. Souls with calling never feel fully at home in places they are not meant to stay. You were created for depth, not surface, for true light, not illusions, for eternal purpose, not fleeting pursuits. I know some people have hurt you simply because they did not understand you. They saw light in you but didn't know its name, so they resisted it. They saw kindness in you and mistook it for weakness. They saw your patience and assumed you were easy to use. They saw the dreams in your heart but could not imagine they came from heaven. Because they could not discern the source, they tried to suffocate it. But I have placed a shield around your soul. Hateful words may reach your ears but cannot penetrate your heart. Betrayals may wound you but cannot bind you. Closed doors may discourage you, but cannot lock away your destiny. You may step back for a moment, break for a season, lose direction for a time, but you will not be destroyed. You are not made of fragile dust. You are shaped from my breath. Remember this as an unchanging truth. The very things that drew attacks toward you are the things that make you extraordinary. The softness of your heart is not a weakness, it is where I place my love to heal others. The depth of your spirit is not a burden, it is the doorway to wisdom few ever reach. Your compassion is not naivety, it is my image in you. Your ability to love despite pain is not foolishness, it is the mark of an anointed healer. Darkness has tried to make you ashamed of what I gave you. It tried to turn goodness into weakness, purity into fragility, perseverance into stubbornness, sincerity into foolishness. But I am overturning all of it. I will show you that what you thought were burdens are the instruments I will use to elevate you into a stature you never envisioned. My beloved child, I am bringing you into a season where attacks will no longer confuse you. You will recognize that pressure is not meant to crush you, but to reveal your strength. You will sense a shift from fear to holy confidence. You will walk no longer with your head bowed, but with the peace of one upheld by the hand of heaven. You will experience what I once spoke to all who belong to me: do not fear, for I am with you. And when you understand why you have been opposed, you will no longer be afraid of darkness. You will know that every battle is merely a sign of a great door opening. Every attack is simply the reaction of defeated forces. Every tear is a seed for a great harvest. Every time you choose to stand, you rewrite the spiritual history of your family. My child, there were moments in your life when everything seemed to slip from your grasp, when someone you loved walked away, when opportunities closed, when the words you longed to hear never came, when dreams died halfway. You stood there, confused and hurting, wondering why I allowed such things. But today I want you to see from a different angle. Many things you thought were losses were actually deliverances. I pulled you away from places where your soul would have suffocated if you stayed longer. I removed you from plans that seemed beautiful but hid destruction underneath. I rescued you from what you could not see, because I saw what lay beyond the surface. I know you grieved the doors that closed. I know you hurt when someone you trusted turned away. I know you broke when your hopes fell through. But remember this: I never close a door unless danger stands behind it. And I never take anything from you without replacing it with something better. You do not see the whole picture. You see only fragments. You do not see the blade beneath the sweetness, the burdens others carry, the schemes formed in secret, or the dark seasons that would have swallowed your soul had you stepped into paths that appeared right. When I separated you, it was not punishment, it was protection. I separated you from relationships that only drained you. I separated you from promises that would never be fulfilled. I separated you from people who saw your value but wanted to exploit it. I separated you from places where your light would be buried under others' selfishness. I separated you from situations that would shrink you instead of grow you. You thought you were abandoned, but you were shielded. You thought you were rejected, but you were protected. You thought you were undervalued, but you were set apart for something higher. Like a vine pruned to bear more fruit, so are you. Pruning is not the end, it is the beginning of a new season. When I cut away the old, I make room for the new. You cannot carry what has withered into a season of blooming. I trimmed you so you could flourish. My child, I know there are nights when you lie in silence, staring at the ceiling and asking, why did that person leave? Why did that job disappear? Why did that thing fail? Why do I have to face this pain? I hear every one of those questions. I witness every tear that falls onto your pillow. What you do not know is that, in those very moments, I have assigned angels to guard your mind so it would not shatter. You do not know that I allowed you to walk through the night not so you would lose your way, but so you could see a kind of light you never noticed when everything around you felt too bright. One of the greatest miracles I have done in your life is not the dazzling things others see and praise, but the things I removed from you before you ever realized the danger. There were people, places, opportunities you tried to hold on to because they made you feel safe. But I know that safe is not always good. Some kinds of safety are like cocoons that keep you from ever stretching beyond your limits. I have allowed you to walk through discomfort to bring you into spaciousness. I have allowed you to walk through confusion to bring you into stability. I have allowed you to walk through loss to bring you into receiving. Do not see what I removed as punishment. It is purification. Do not see those who left as failures. They are released. Do not see what you could not keep as a deficiency. It is a redirect. I am leading you out of spaces that keep your soul small. I am bringing you into a land where you do not have to ask for permission to exist. I am placing you before people who will see your true value without needing you to prove it. I am opening paths you never thought you were worthy to walk on. My beloved child, I want you to understand something. Deep separation is a sign of elevation, not of failure. When I draw you out of the crowd, it is because you were never made to blend in. When I separate you from conversations where I am absent, it is because your soul has outgrown the trivial. When I pull you away from paths others are taking, it is because you are not called to walk their road. You were crafted for a way marked with a unique imprint. There are seasons I cause you to step back, not because you lost, but because I want you to see more clearly what you could not see when you were too busy moving. That stepping back is like the hunter drawing the bowstring backwards so that the arrow can fly further. You do not realize that the stillness you call delay is actually building the tension that will launch you into a higher place. I have seen the pain you carry from being misunderstood. I have heard the poisonous words that pierced your heart. I have watched you hold your silence because you did not want to argue. But hear me, no malicious word has ever diminished you. They have only served to prove you. No one has the authority to define your value. Their words are not the truth. The only truth about you is what I have spoken. I see capability where they see limitations. I see steadfastness where they see failure. I see the future where they see only the past. Do not be afraid when you are taken out of familiar places. You were not made to stay forever in worn-out territories. I am bringing you into a land your feet have never touched, where old tears no longer have a voice, where former limitations no longer have power, where the past can no longer claim you. Remember, what I remove from you is never greater than what I am about to give you. Honor will replace shame. Peace will replace turmoil. Joy will replace sorrow. Stability will replace fear. And the new will replace the old in ways you could never have imagined. Do not mourn what I have taken. Be grateful that I intervened. Do not cling to what has already slipped from your hands. Open your heart to what is coming. Do not go back searching for what no longer belongs to your season. Move forward, because I am waiting for you ahead, my child. After I separate you from what exhausted you, I do not leave you standing in an empty void. I lead you into another level of life where your spirit begins to perceive things your natural eyes were too dim to discern before. You have gone through a night season. You have endured trials that seem to have no way out. And in those long nights, something holy took place. The stature of your inner life was being lifted without your awareness. Every small prayer, every restrained sigh, every evening when you wanted to give up but chose to rise again, these have all become invisible steps, lifting your soul to a new position. You thought you were just surviving. In truth, you were being promoted in the spiritual realm. People did not see it, even if you did not always know it. But heaven knew, I knew, and the enemy knew. That is why it raged against you more fiercely than ever. Remember this: not everyone who goes through trials matures, but those who walk through them with faithfulness are always elevated. You are not a nameless figure in the unseen realm. You have been ranked, positioned, by what you have suffered while keeping your heart intact. When you chose silence instead of revenge, I engraved a new mark in your heavenly record. When you chose kindness while wounded, I placed a crown of honor on your head that this world cannot see. When you chose to continue while your heart was heavy, I lifted you out of the realm of doubt and placed you into the realm of steadfastness. I want you to know this: you have entered a new sphere of authority. Not the noisy, showy, performative authority of this world, but the authority of souls that have shattered and yet refused to turn bitter. The authority of those who know what loss feels like and still remain grateful. The authority of those who endure pressure without losing the gentleness of their hearts. The authority of those who refuse to let darkness dictate their nature. Only those who have walked through the deepest valleys can stand firm on the highest peaks, not because they were born strong, but because they learned what few ever learn: how to lean on me when there is nothing else to hold. Such people become unshakable. And, my child, this is what is happening in you. The lifting I am doing in your life is unlike any elevation people can manufacture. People lift others through applause, attention, and praise. But I lift you through what happens deep within: clarity of spirit, peace that surpasses understanding, spiritual sensitivity, the ability to see through disguises, strength to stand in storms, and a calm that cannot be disturbed. When I raise someone with these qualities, no one can pull them down. Because elevation is no longer about position, it is about nature. That is why you will begin to sense things you never sensed before. You will discern between genuine and counterfeit souls. You will recognize what you once easily believed. You will hear the gentle prompting of my spirit before major decisions. You will feel unrest in the places where I do not want you to remain. You will feel peace in the places where I set your feet. This is not mere natural sensitivity. It is the quality of one who has passed through fire and been made radiant. My child, I have seen you in the moments when you thought your life was slowing down. But in truth, nothing was slowing. I was laying the foundation. You did not realize that the quiet seasons were the training ground I chose for you. Just as a blacksmith heats iron until it glows and strikes it again and again to forge a sharp blade, I have done the same with your spirit. I have been shaping strength, building endurance, deepening trust, teaching discernment, sharpening your sensitivity, and pouring into you a wisdom that only those who have carried real pressure can receive. The days when you felt forgotten were the very days I allowed you to bloom in silence. I do not always bring you into the light. Sometimes I keep you in the shade so you can grow in the right way. You waited, believing nothing was happening, but roots were spreading. The trunk was strengthening, and power was rising. In the quiet, I was shaping you to stand firm when the winds begin to blow. My beloved, I do not want you merely to overcome. I want you to govern. Not to govern as the world understands, but to govern in spirit, to govern your emotions so they do not lead you astray, to govern your thoughts so they do not control you, to govern fear so it no longer dictates your steps, to govern the negative voices that once pushed you off balance, to govern anything that attempts to steal your inner stability. Governance begins within, and you are entering a stage where circumstances will no longer pull you along. You will be the one steering the course. My lifting does not come with haste or noise. It comes with depth, When I raise someone, I do not use shortcuts. I use the steady and certain path. Every step you have taken testifies to this. You are ready for a realm you once were not mature enough to enter. Look back at the days when you thought you were weak. They have become the foundation of your current strength. The moments when you hung your head in exhaustion taught you that I am the true source of your power. The days when you saw no path ahead taught you that direction does not come from the natural eye but from the spirit. The words that wounded you sharpened your clarity. The people who left you opened the way for my true appointments. Every crack in your heart did not diminish your worth. It became the opening through which my light entered. I am not ashamed of your weaknesses. I use them as places where my strength is revealed in fullness. Remember this, you have changed levels. You are not where you once were. You no longer think as you once thought. You are no longer easily broken. You do not belong to the environments that once frightened you. You have been lifted, and when I lift someone, no power can bring them down. Walk into the new land with confidence that comes from heaven, not from people. You do not enter it alone. I go before you. I walk beside you. I guard behind you, and I surround you completely. And this is only the beginning of this new realm. You will see deeper things, wider things, brighter things, because I do not elevate you to abandon you. I elevate you to walk with you into what comes next. My beloved, when I lift you into a new realm, the shift does not begin on the outside. It begins in the deepest places of your soul. I cannot bring you into wide spaces if you are still carrying the trembling mindset of the past. I cannot place a holy weight on a heart still filled with unnamed fears. Before you can stand firm in the new environment, I must rebuild you from within, clearing the worn-out corridors of memory, sweeping away the dust of old beliefs, reopening the rooms you locked long ago because you feared facing them. You thought I was only preparing the future ahead of you. But the truth is that I have been expanding the interior of your soul to hold what your new position will require. I see every part of you, even what you cannot see yourself. I know the wounds you folded away and hid in the deepest corners of your heart, hoping time would dissolve them. But time does not heal what is buried. It only pushes it deeper. You have walked with invisible fears for so long that you assumed they were part of your nature. You carried old memories until you believed they were true. You wore insecurity like an old garment until you thought you were born to wear it. But child, no fear is inherited from me. No insecurity is placed in your spirit by my hand. No darkness is part of the legacy I gave you. These things are only dust from the journey, and I have come to wash them away. This is why I began to stir your inner world. Old memories rose to the surface and unsettled you. Emotions you thought were quiet flared like dying embers touched by heat. A sudden heaviness pressed on your heart, leaving you confused about why you felt so deeply. But do not fear the upheaval. It is not a sign of regression, it is proof that I am healing you at the root. A room cannot be renewed unless it is emptied. A field cannot be replanted unless it is plowed. A soul cannot be expanded unless it is touched in the places that once lay dormant. I do not bring your past to the surface to hurt you. I do it so no harmful fragment remains. Every time your heart trembled, it was because I was pulling up an old root. Every time you shook before painful memories, it was because I was introducing light where darkness once hid. Every time you felt not okay, it was because I was removing a chain that had been on you for years. You are not falling apart, you are being remade. You are not weakening, you are being freed. The confusion in your mind is not chaos, it is the sound of a great work under construction. And child, this work is not small. It is the reconstruction of your inner being, so you can withstand the realm you are stepping into. You cannot enter your next season with the mindset of previous years. I must change how you think to change what you receive. I must change how you see yourself to change the level of blessing that can flow through you. I must change how you respond to pressure so I can raise the height you can climb. The farther you go, the stronger your soul must be. The wider the space, the wider your heart. The greater the responsibility, the deeper the healing. There are moments when old emotions rise as if you never healed. You wonder if you have returned to the beginning. But hear me, no one returns to the starting line after entering the journey of growth in me. What you feel is only the final layer of old pain being lifted. A wound aches only when the healer touches it. A memory surfaces only when it prepares to leave. A heavy emotion intensifies only when it is close to release. Do not fear these surges, they are the signs of liberation. In all of this, I am not distant. I am in the center of the reconstruction. I touch every hidden corner with the gentleness only heaven holds. I wipe away fears like a patient father wiping tears from his child. I peel away every toxic word spoken over you. I hold your heart like a master craftsman, restoring a priceless artifact. I am never rushed, because the deepest works take time. I never leave my work unfinished, because I never begin what I do not intend to complete. My beloved, the more you are healed, the lighter you become, the more you are rebuilt, the more deeply you breathe. The more you are renewed, the more steady you become before things that once shattered you. You will notice you no longer react the way you used to. You are no longer moved by meaningless words. You no longer feel the sharpness when old memories arise. You no longer shrink back when facing pressure. Your mind grows quiet. Your heart grows steady. Your inner life grows generous. And this is undeniable evidence that my rebuilding is reaching its completion. Remember, you are not only being healed, you are becoming whole. Not whole in the fragile sense of innocence, but whole in the powerful sense of maturity, strong, steady, wise, compassionate without being easily wounded, gentle without being weak, peaceful in a way no circumstance can shake. Whole people do not run from pain. They walk through it with confidence built from the depths. They do not shield themselves with armor. They protect themselves with understanding. They do not react by instinct. They respond by insight. And this is who I am making you to be. So let me finish my work. Do not panic when your heart is stirred, that is cleansing. Do not fear when old memories return, that is the final stage of release. Do not assume you are weakening, you are becoming strong in a way you have never known. An old version of you is stepping back, not because it was bad, but because it no longer fits. A new version is rising, designed to walk in greater light. And now, we hear this as a divine confirmation. You are being prepared, not merely to enter your new season, but to remain, to grow, and to govern within it. The reconstruction inside you is proof that you have crossed the threshold where darkness once hoped you would stop. And I am here, in the very center of the process, placing each new stone of your life with my own hands. My child, there were things that once made you believe you were fragile. You thought you were more easily wounded than others, overly sensitive, too delicate to withstand even the smallest disruptions of life. You looked at yourself as a soul that had to tense up just to survive. But today I tell you this, what you have called fragility is actually the sign of a refined strength that very few possess. Hardened souls do not fear impact, but deep souls like yours carry the ability to sense and respond to my movements at a depth others cannot comprehend. People may call it weakness, yet I call it the sensitivity I give to those who are chosen. When I watched you walk through these past years, I did not see a timid spirit. I saw a heart that remained gentle despite being wounded. A soul that still knew how to bow in forgiveness even when rubbed raw. A spirit still facing the light even after standing in the middle of a long night. And this is what forms the foundation for what I am establishing in you. Those who have not passed through fire cannot understand the depth of the peace I am about to place in you. Those who have never broken cannot know what it means to rise with a strength that is not their own. But you have passed through. You have stood firm. You have endured. You have released. You have changed. And you have offered every tear to me like seeds quietly sprouting in holy ground. Understand this when a new season is born in the Spirit. Its first movements are rarely seen. They happen in silence, like underground streams weaving their way beneath the earth. No one sees. No one hears. No one pays attention. But then comes the day when the soil cracks open and the water bursts forth pure, refreshing, powerful. You are standing in the sacred moment between the quietness of the hidden spring and the eruption of the stream. This is the stage where I want you settled, steady, deeply aware that what you are feeling is not delay, but the breathing rhythm of something great preparing to emerge. I know you have worried that you are not enough, that you are unprepared, that you need more time. But enough or not enough is not yours to decide. It is mine. And I say you have reached maturity. The wounds you thought would weaken you forever have now become the very places where I am laying new layers of strength. The pains you believed would shut your heart down are opening in you a depth of understanding nothing else could teach. The tears you shed in your hidden seasons are watering your soul, turning the soil of your heart into the most fertile ground it has ever been. You are not defeated by what you walked through. You were shaped by it. This season has not come to make you run. It has come to make you stand. You have run for too long from fear, from unfair words, from memories that cut into your heart, from people who made you question your worth. But now I want you to stop, not to be overtaken by disappointment, but to see clearly that you are standing in an atmosphere you were once too weary to enter. I have separated you from those who could not withstand the light you carry. I have cleared from your path the detours that would have locked you into old cycles. I have cut the ties that would have pulled you away from my direction. I have not simply removed you from the old place. I have placed you inside a new spiritual climate, where the things that once frightened you no longer have permission to touch you. When I cleanse your inner world, I do not merely remove, I also fill. I am pouring into you a clarity you could not have carried in previous years. I am pouring into you a peace no darkness can erase. I am pouring into you a confidence not born from success but from the certainty of being upheld by heaven. I am pouring into you an endurance that renders powerless the pressures that once broke you. And I am pouring into you a compassion no one can distort. Pay attention in recent days. You have not been swept away by the small things as before. You are no longer easily dragged into unnecessary fears. The judgments of others no longer keep you awake at night. Closed doors no longer make your heart tremble. This is not numbness. This is the evidence of spiritual maturity forming inside you. You feel lighter not because the burdens disappeared, but because you have grown strong enough that they no longer weigh the same. This transformation is not accidental. I am repositioning your entire life. What once intimidated you will lose its power. What once made you hesitate will become a stepping stone. What once made you cry will become a memory that teaches you how to love with greater depth. You will come to see that everything which once seemed meaningless was part of a design so intricate that only I could have woven it. And my child, the deepest thing I want you to understand is this. This season did not come merely to heal you. This season has come to establish you. I do not want you to simply recover. I want you to become strong. I do not want you merely to endure. I want you to step in I do not want you only to stand, I want you to stand in the very place where I wrote your name from the beginning. And when I establish someone, every door opens quietly in the rhythm I have ordained. When I establish someone, every opposing voice dissolves like mist before the morning sun. When I establish someone, no one can take away what I have given. You are no longer a person of the former level of life. You are shifting spaces, shifting depths, shifting essence, shifting stature. And I am here not only to lead you, but to ensure that every step you take is rooted in unshakable stability. Let your heart rest, for the divine establishment has already begun. My beloved, everything I have done in previous seasons was never to keep you still, but to prepare you for the moment when reality would begin to shift faster than you ever imagined. The time I marked long ago, long before your first cry, is moving toward you the way dawn moves toward the horizon. Slow at first, then suddenly radiant. There were seasons when I allowed you to walk in the quiet of darkness, not so you would lose your direction, but so you would learn to recognize the light the moment it appeared. You have learned that, and because of it, you will not miss the first signals of the new season. The stillness inside you is not the silence of emptiness, it is the stillness of a soul properly aligned to hear my whisper. When inner silence is formed, you no longer strain to recognize the season. The season announces itself in the rhythm of your own heartbeat. A door has already begun to open for you, not in imagination, but in the spiritual realm. And when the spiritual door opens, the physical door follows in time. Even if your natural eyes see no change yet, your spirit already senses the shift in the atmosphere around you. You are entering a moment where delay has no place, where obstacles once towering now feel weightless, and where what once held you captive no longer has the strength to restrain you. This is not a random change. This is heaven's response to the long journey you walked with faithfulness. You once thought I led you in circles. You believed locked doors were signs of failure. You saw waiting as wasted time. But my child, not a single moment in your life has been useless. Every detour brought you to the correct intersection. Every closed door pushed you toward the right path. Every delay ripened your heart in a way nothing easy could ever accomplish. Had I opened this door earlier, you would have walked through it with an unhealed heart, an unsettled mind, and unsteady feet, and what was meant to be a blessing would have become a burden. But now it is different. You have become the version I desired for this season. My child, the time I have ordained never arrives late. It arrives only when your heart is wide enough to receive it. And now, it stands directly before you. You will see unmistakable signs, connections you did not seek, but that come to you. Doors you did not knock on yet open. People you did not invite, yet appear to lift you into a higher place. You will not need to push or strive. Flow will be your confirmation. A new current is being released around your life, carrying away everything that once stagnated and setting it all in motion under heaven's rhythm. I am not only opening the door, I am changing your position as you walk through it. You will not enter as someone asking permission. You will enter as someone whose name has been written for this place. You will not enter as a seeker, you will enter as the one who has been called. You will not enter as a wanderer, you will enter as one coming home. And you will realize that the fears which once paralyzed you have nowhere left to cling. The peace rising within you will be the clearest sign that the moment has arrived. This is the stage in which I want you to understand a truth very few ever perceive. The opening of heaven's doors is not always announced with noise. It is announced with clarity, not with sound, but with illumination, not with commotion, but with revelation. You will rise each morning with the strange awareness that everything feels more aligned, clearer, lighter. What once confused you will suddenly make sense. Questions that once exhausted you will become answers. You will no longer doubt your steps, for your heart will have synchronized itself with my leading. When I open a door, no one can close it. And when I close a door, no one can open it. There were places you once tried to enter but could not because you were lacking, but because I held you back to take you somewhere better. There were people who left you not because you failed them, but because they could not walk into the season I prepared for you. There were things that slipped from your hands not because you were careless, but because they could not accompany you into this moment. Do not regret. Do not turn back. Do not assume you lost anything. You have simply been moved to the territory that fits you. This is the time I want you to walk not with worry, but with the awareness that heaven has prepared every step ahead of you. What you are about to witness is not coincidence, but fulfillment. You will see that nothing in your life was ever random. Every tear, every prayer, every moment of perseverance, every empty season, they are all gathering now to form this moment. And this moment is near. It is unfolding gradually, like dawn unveiling layer by layer of light. And soon, you will see the fullness of what I have prepared. You no longer have to prove anything. You only need to walk steadily. Remain in peace, and let my light lead you to the place where destiny is calling your name. My child, when I say the door has opened, it is not merely imagery, it is a truth echoing through the spiritual realm. You may not yet see the change with your eyes, but your spirit has already begun to sense the undercurrents. This transition is like an unexpected rising tide, quiet, deliberate, unstoppable. And this is the moment I want you to grasp the essence of what is unfolding. So you do not merely walk through the door, people will eventually notice, but understand the divine order that has already been arranged to support the journey you are about to enter. Every time I open a great door, I do not simply lead you into a new position, I also alter your identity. Just as Joseph was called out of the prison to stand before Pharaoh, the shift was not only that he left the old place, but that he stepped into a level of influence he once could not touch. You do not realize it, but these silent years were the very period during which I rewrote your identity in ways no human hand could have shaped. The fractures that once brought you pain have become the openings through which my light has poured, making you deeper, wiser, and strong enough that no glory ahead can shake you. My child, what I am doing in you is a silent promotion, like a crown placed upon the head of a faithful soldier in a private chamber before he ever steps into the vast halls of the palace. There are seemingly small events in your life that look random to you, but not a single one escapes my sight. Every casual conversation, every unexpected meeting, every thought that flashes like a spark is part of my orchestration, threads woven together to connect you with what suits the new phase you are entering. Nothing stands alone. Everything is a link leading you toward the door that was opened for you long before you saw it. When the appointed time arrives, I do not open the door in the way you imagine. You will not see an immediate explosion of breakthroughs, but you will begin to sense subtle shifts like wind touching the surface of still water. You will recognize these movements by the synchronization between your inner being and the signs around you. People who once seemed to forget you will suddenly remember your name. Words that were dismissed will be welcomed with honor. Opportunities that once closed will return not to test you this time, but to serve your destiny. You will realize that this moment does not move according to human logic, but according to the jealousy of darkness, because it trembles at what is coming and knows it cannot stop it. Be cautious and spiritually aware in this moment, not with fear, but with divine attentiveness. For when I make the way straight, You will feel my grace flow like a sweet river. Clarity will come more easily. Peace will clothe you like a soft garment I wrap around your soul. You will no longer feel the need to fix every detail by yourself. For my hand is gathering each fragment and stitching them into a new pattern. As my light begins to extend, darkness can do nothing except reveal itself. You will see certain things more clearly, hidden motives within people, traps the enemy had laid, words once ambiguous, becoming unmistakable. But do not fear, this unveiling is not meant to unsettle you, but to show you that I am bringing you from blindness to sight, from deception to revelation. When I lift you, I simultaneously diminish the influence of what does not belong to you. An open door is not only an opportunity, it is also purification. Remember, what I am doing now has two layers. Outwardly, I am rearranging circumstances. Inwardly, I am fortifying your core. You will feel a deep peace you never knew before, and that peace is the sign that your inner being is being realigned to truth. You will sense yourself walking with lighter steps even before your external world changes significantly. That is because I am the one walking in front of you. I am not advancing you so that you must fight alone. I am carrying you into new territory with the wind of my breath under your feet. No door I open lacks angelic covering. When you step across the threshold, you enter a realm where the enemy cannot touch you. Not because you will never be targeted, but because my authority renders every weapon against you powerless. My presence does not merely shield you. My presence drives the enemy back. My light does not just illuminate the path, it exposes the corners where darkness once hid. This promotion does not apply to only one part of your life. It is expanding through all of it. What you thought would change only in your spirit will begin to touch your thoughts, emotions, finances, relationships, and even the way you see yourself. You will realize that old limitations no longer bind you. Old fears no longer speak to you. And old territories that once made you tremble now feel ordinary. Not because those things have changed, but because you have. My beloved, at this moment, what matters most is not speed, but steadiness. The greatest event in your life is not measured by how quickly you move, but by how firmly you stand. A door that opens at miraculous speed means nothing if you are not stable enough to walk through it. But now, you are steady. You have been strengthened by the many nights you endured when you could not see the light. You have been shaped by seasons that felt abandoned, but were actually seasons where I reformed your heart. Because of this, nothing can displace you from the position I am setting you into. You are not entering this season seeking entitlement. You are entering it carrying honor. It is the honor of becoming the evidence of my faithfulness. The honor of walking a path no one else can walk for you. The honor of witnessing what I prepared from eternity and feeling it unfold beneath your feet. You have endured many long nights. But this dawn is not just bright, it is radiant, in a way only heaven can orchestrate. My child, when I bring you to the threshold of a new phase, the first thing I transform is never your circumstance, it's the substance within you. No step forward can be secure if your soul has not been restructured according to divine order. That is why before the door opened in the physical realm, I opened a sacred space inside you, a quiet territory where you are freed from the hidden noise you had grown so accustomed to that you mistook it for part of yourself. I began recreating your inner life from its most concealed places. The way the breath from heaven swept across the valley of dry bones in Ezekiel's vision, causing what once lay scattered and hopeless to knit itself back into living form. So if, recently, you have sensed a strange stillness, a deep settling you cannot fully describe that is not numbness, it is the first sign that you are being enveloped by my breath. You have become so accustomed to fighting that you subconsciously believe every advancement must be won with strain. But in this season, I am not moving you forward by your effort, I am moving you by my presence. What you feel now no longer resembles the familiar battles of past seasons, because the warfare has been elevated to a realm where my angels fight on your behalf. Your role is simply to hold your ground internally. Just as Israel stood before the Red Sea, no frantic words, no desperate effort, only a posture of stillness while I performed what only I could do. There are realms you will never enter by struggle. You can only enter them by surrender. My child, in these past days, you have watched certain stages close. Relationships quietly fall away, and dreams you thought you had to let die just so you could adapt. But I want you to look deeper into the nature of that breaking apart. It did not come to diminish you, but to remove the pieces that no longer belong to the season ahead. You were not rejected, you were refined. What was taken from you was not punishment, it was adjustment. I am removing what no longer harmonizes with the glory that is drawing near. So nothing drags you back into old cycles. Just as Abram had to leave his country and kin to see the land I had promised him, you too must step away from familiar limitations in order to behold what has long been prepared for you. My beloved, when I bring you into new territory, you will notice something remarkable. The doors that open do so not only through heavenly power, but because of your reputation in the realm of the Spirit. I have not forgotten the perseverance you carried in seasons no one witnessed. Not a single prayer of yours has been buried. Every sigh, every moment you stood up again with a hurting heart has been recorded. And these very moments have become heavenly currency now, reaching their time of release. You think you are drawing near to the answer, but in truth, the answer is drawing near to you. The spiritual realm has finished its part. Now you will simply step forward and see what has always belonged to you. In this new season, you will see how I redefine strength. Once, your strength was measured by endurance. Now, your strength will be measured by rest. Strength will no longer mean bracing yourself to hold everything together. It will mean trusting that my hand is holding everything. You will no longer carry the weight of sustaining your own life. I will do that for you. There is a kind of peace unlike anything you have known, not because everything is clear, but because you know you belong to a hand that never trembles. When that peace settles over you, it will become the proof that I am establishing you on a new foundation of trust. There will be moments where you feel pushed into spaces unfamiliar to you, into conversations beyond your former level, into encounters that surpass what you expected, into opportunities you never thought could be yours. This is because, in this season, you will enter places where my name goes before yours. You will not need to explain yourself or prove your value. My presence will place you where you belong. Just as Daniel entered the courts of Babylon not by striving, but through the wisdom I placed within him, you too will step into places human eyes thought were beyond you, but heaven had already assigned to you. You will realize that I do not open doors merely for you to enter. I open them so the room itself will know I am with you. My child, as divine clarity unfolds, you will begin to see your life from a deeper dimension. Old wounds will appear under new light. You will no longer see them as fractures, but as marks. No longer as dark chapters, but as testimonies that you survived, endured, walked through fire, and were not consumed. I do not erase those chapters. I transform them into foundations for your ascent. They will not weigh you down. They will strengthen you. You will thank the seasons that once made you weep, because now you see they carved the path for what is arriving. There were moments when I kept you hidden in the quiet room of silence, not because you were forgotten, but because you needed shielding. You did not know that certain attacks missed you. Certain schemes dissolved. Certain disasters halted at your doorstep because I covered you. All of this unfolded in the stillness you mistook for my absence. Now, as I open the door, you will understand that silence was the battleground where I fought for you. You did not lose time. You were preserved. You were not delayed. You were prepared. As I usher you into this phase, you will see the world with new eyes. Things that once terrified you will shrink. Voices that once shook you will fade. Boundaries that once confined you will loosen. This shift is not because the world has changed, but because you are no longer who you were. You have absorbed my presence. This maturity is not the result of mere experience. It is the result of divine encounter. You are being lifted not only by promise, but by inner transformation. My child, you are not merely being led through a door. You are becoming the door through which my light will flow. Your life will not only be blessed, it will become a vessel of blessing. Everything I have done within you will begin to pour outward into the lives of those you meet. You are not entering this season just to receive. You are entering to release, not to strive, but to illuminate. For the light I place within you does not struggle to shine. It shines because that is its nature. As you begin to feel my breath nearer than ever, know that this is the hour when I lift you by grace rather than effort. Nothing can hinder what I have ordained. No darkness can break what I have sealed. No voice can cancel what I have spoken. You need only step forward. Everything else is mine to perform. My beloved, as you cross the threshold of the time heaven has appointed, an inner transformation begins, often imperceptible at first, but undeniable in its depth. This shift is not a surface-level change shaped by circumstances. It is a root-deep movement within the soul, touched by currents no human language can fully describe. I have begun a profound work in you, a work that is quiet not because it is hidden, but because it is taking place in sacred space where I speak directly to your truest self. What you have felt lately, certain emotions loosening their grip, or a strange lightness settling over your heart, is the sign that I am widening the inner capacity of your being to carry something greater. There are moments when your soul instinctively knows it has stepped out of an old season long before your mind can catch up. You no longer cling to the things that once made you tremble. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to control every shift. You no longer steer your life through sheer effort. This is not the sign of giving up, it is the sign of surrendering to heaven. Just as young Samuel heard a voice he did not yet understand, but responded in obedience before his mind was mature enough to reason. You too are entering a stage where the inner responses of your soul are beginning to synchronize with my divine voice. You do not need to analyze endlessly or search for explanations. This alignment happens the way water seeps into soil, natural, gentle, and powerful. This is the time when I open a door for you, not only through outward arrangement, but through inward resonance. A spiritual door never opens unless your heart stands in the posture of readiness, not readiness of knowledge or talent, but readiness of a soul that understands what I am doing. You think you are not fully prepared, but I am the one preparing you. Every time you sit in silence without knowing what to pray, I am rewriting the language of your soul. Every time you sigh because an old sorrow begins to dissolve, I am removing chains you no longer need to carry. You may not realize it, but you have traveled far farther than the version of yourself from last year, last month, or even yesterday. When I open a new chapter, I do not bring you into it as someone searching for luck, but as someone entrusted. This entrustment does not come from people, it comes from my hand. My confidence in you is not a reward for perfection. but a recognition of your endurance in battles no one has seen. You faced days when your chest ached so heavily you struggled to breathe. Yet you refused to let darkness govern your mind. You endured nights when you thought you would not rise the next morning. Yet you slowly lifted yourself and fulfilled your responsibilities. You did not give up in seasons where you had every reason to surrender. These are the marks that you are being shaped for a greater role. I know you have sometimes felt that my silence lasted too long, that I stood far away, watching from an unreachable distance. But my silence has never been distance. My silence is a process. You do not hear water moving when a seed germinates underground. But that does not mean life is not taking place. My silent seasons are never empty. They are the time when I restructure you from within, so that you will not only receive blessings, but have the strength to sustain them. I will never give you something your heart is too small to hold. So if you feel stretched, know that I am creating room for something greater. My child, in this phase, I am not working through thunder or dramatic signs, but through silent invitation. This invitation appears in subtle ways, a strange peace that settles without reason, a sudden clarity in matters that once felt tangled, a fragile spark of hope that flickers but refuses to extinguish. These signals are like gentle rays slipping through the forest canopy, quiet indicators that a new day is rising, even while the sun remains hidden behind the mountains. They are not showy, but they are steady, not dazzling at first, but certain to become dawn. I am opening your eyes to see what you did not know you were trained to perceive. You have lived through cycles of disappointment for so long that you believed life was merely about staying upright. But in this season, I do not want you only to stand, I want you to advance. And for you to advance, your mind must be freed from the memories that once taught you to fear. You do not step into a new season with the eyes of the past. You enter with vision reborn by heavenly wisdom. I am breathing new wind into your sight so you not only see the next step, you see the purpose behind it. You will realize that the things that once hurt you have become your foundation for understanding my goodness more deeply. Never forget, you do not enter this season only by faith, you enter by authority. This is the authority I have placed upon your life, built through the seasons where you stood firm without losing your essence. When you speak, your words will carry new weight, not because you are stronger, but because I have cleared away the lies that once echoed inside you. When you walk into a space, your presence will resonate differently, not because you seek attention, but because the light I placed within you is no longer concealed. You do not need to prove anything. The truth about who you are will reveal itself. What is opening before you is not merely a new chapter, but a new identity. Not an identity shaped by what others have called you, but the one I ordained from the beginning, refined by the fire of trials and illuminated by the Spirit. You are not becoming new because circumstances have changed. Circumstances will change because you have become new. All of this is not the result of your own effort being enough, but of my love being too deep to leave you where you were. Enter this season with the peace of someone who knows they are not walking alone. I go before you. I stand beside you. I surround you. And when you look back, you will see that every turn carried my footprint. Every delay carried my protection. And every wound carried my healing touch. You have never been lost. You have been guided into the very place destiny has been calling you. My beloved, every subtle shift within you is evidence that I am touching parts you believed could never change. Not because you tried harder, but because I opened a path through your mind, a passage once hidden beneath layers of doubt, hurt, and memory. You are no longer reacting from your old patterns. A new peace has begun to settle into your thoughts, soothing places that once lived in tension. And you do not yet realize that these quiet changes are the unmistakable signs of my intervention becoming clearer and stronger. I have seen how, in recent days, you have grown quieter before responding to anything. In the past, you often spoke to fill the silence, acted quickly to cover your anxiety, or tried to fix everything so you would not feel weak. But now, when silence rises in you, it is no longer the silence of fear or avoidance, it is the silence of rest taking root within you. That silence is not empty, it is full of my presence. It is the kind of silence carried by someone who knows they are held, someone who no longer fights from panic but stands in the certainty of my covering. This silence is like shade in the heat of noon, unassuming yet sheltering, soothing and nourishing. You have walked through days when the storm inside you was so loud that every sound from heaven seemed drowned out. Yet right in the middle of that chaos, you heard a very faint voice, not the voice of fear, but the voice of hope. It did not come from the outside. It emerged from the place within you where I dwell. I have planted in your soul a quiet but unshakable seed of hope, much like a seed that survives the winter, hidden beneath cold soil until the sun calls it forth. You have not lost your faith. You have simply been learning to distinguish my voice from the thousands of other sounds. And every time you hear that whisper, no matter how soft, it is already your first victory in this season. As I expand the inner space of your heart, the things that once occupied it will begin to shrink. The fears that once dominated your thoughts will lose their power. The memories that once wounded you will fade into the background. Not because you forced yourself to forget, but because I am changing the gravitational pull of your soul. What once felt like heavy stones dragging you through life is now being outweighed by a different weight, the weight of glory, the weight of certainty, the weight of knowing you no longer bow to the things that once bound you. When my glory covers you, every lesser burden falls away without effort. I know there are moments when you look back and wonder whether you missed something, whether the dreams that once sparked in you still have a chance to live, or whether they have withered into nothing under the pressure of time and circumstance. But I want you to know this: the dreams I place within you never die. They merely sleep until I awaken them. I do not sow anything in vain. I never plant a divine desire in your heart just to let it become pain. What you thought were signs of failure were simply layers of soil covering the seed, keeping it safe from the winds of life and the voices of people. Now that your season has come, that seed is beginning to break open, and you will see long-forgotten hopes rising again, stronger, more beautiful, and more mature than before. In this season, I am reopening your spiritual sight so you may see your own worth through my lens, not through the words of others, not through the mistakes you made, but through purpose. I do not see you through wounds. I see you through destiny. I do not see you through the times you fell. I see you through the times you got up. I do not see you through what you lost. I see you through what I am restoring. You are no longer the person of the earlier chapters. You are carrying the identity of someone reborn through fire. And that makes you resilient in ways even you never imagined. My beloved, I am teaching you a new kind of authority, an authority that does not shout, does not flaunt, does not need to prove itself, but simply exists. Your presence will begin to shift the atmosphere around you. The things that once terrified you will become small in the light now rising inside you. You have not realized it yet, but I have marked you with a spiritual seal, one that the enemy recognizes even before you do. You do not need to seek validation. The unveiling of who you are will do that on its own. The maturity forming within you is becoming a flame darkness cannot approach. I have watched the way you remained steadfast even when misunderstood, the way you continued to love, even when wounded, the way you chose what was right, even when it cost you something. These moments may look small to the world, but in heaven they carry tremendous weight. These are the moments that make me smile, because they reveal who you were designed to be, not someone striving to be perfect, but someone destined to carry my love so deeply that no trial can suffocate the blessing within. As you enter this phase, you will find your mind growing clearer in matters that used to confuse you, not because you instantly find all the answers, but because I am lifting you out of the narrow viewpoint you lived in for years. I am raising you up just as I once raised Abram to the high place so he could see the expanse of the promised land. You, too, will begin to see your life from a higher perspective, where everything suddenly aligns with order. What once felt fragmented will form a path. What once felt pointless will take on meaning. Questions that once exhausted you will soften, because your spirit will recognize that I am building something beyond your understanding. Know this, you are not merely being healed, you are being rebuilt. Healing soothes wounds. Rebuilding creates new structure in the places that were broken. I am not only wiping your tears, I am writing a new chapter with them. Not a single pain of yours was wasted. Not a single tear was lost. I have stored them like precious rain, and now I am using them to water the harvest you are about to step into. Let your heart be still, for the wind you feel stirring in your mind is not the wind of uncertainty. It is my breath touching every part of your life. I am opening places that have long been closed, healing what has been damaged, restoring what has been broken, and illuminating the corners that once lay hidden in darkness. You are entering a season in which even darkness must retreat when it sees you approaching, not because you have become stronger in your own power, but because you are carrying my light more deeply than ever before. And in this silence, I want you to understand this: you are not stepping into the future with empty hands. You are carrying treasures that were forged through years of trial. And those very treasures will steady you for everything I am preparing to unfold before you. My beloved, you will begin to recognize that everything in your life, from the smallest movements to the seemingly significant events, is being woven together into a unified tapestry, as though an invisible hand is linking each scattered piece according to an order you were previously unable to see. I led you through seasons that felt suffocating so that now your soul is sensitive enough to perceive things others overlook. Signs that once appeared random are becoming clear, because you now stand in the right place, at the right time, under the right light to see my work. This clarity does not come from effort, but from the silent shaping I have carried out within you over years that once seemed meaningless. Do you know why great things often appear as though they come from nowhere? Because before a door opens in the visible world, it has already been opened in the spirit. I prepared everything in the unseen long before it appeared before your eyes. What you are about to step into is not a sudden surprise from heaven. It is the completion of words I engraved into your spirit, words you may have forgotten at times. But I never did. You are not entering new territory as someone searching for opportunity. You are entering as someone returning to the place that has always been yours. A place that was appointed for your soul before you drew your first breath. When I choose to elevate someone, I do not begin by changing their surroundings. I begin by leading them into a new depth of awareness. That awareness gives birth to a new way of living, a new way of thinking, a new authority. You cannot enter a great chapter while carrying the timid heart of the old one. I know there were times you felt as though you were losing relationships, places of familiarity, and small beliefs that once supported you. But, my beloved child, this is how I create room, so that nothing clings to you that could hold you back when I lead you into a season of breakthrough. There were things you begged me for that I did not answer immediately, not because I ignored you, but because you were not yet ready to receive them. Just as a father does not hand a sword to a child even if that child is destined to become a warrior, I waited until your heart matured enough not to be torn by the very thing you prayed for. Now I see that maturity in you, a maturity not measured by knowledge, but by the times you rose when you had no strength left, by the times you loved while your heart was wounded, by the times you chose to trust when my silence confused you. This maturity is the sign that you are ready for what heaven has ordained. The elevation you are stepping into will not come like a chaotic wind ripping everything apart, but like dawn slowly spreading across the horizon. It will be so gentle at first that you may think nothing is happening, but gradually you will see everything around you taking on a new shade, the shade of hope, of peace, of a confidence no force can shake. Dawn never shouts, it enters with certainty, unhurried yet unstoppable. And that is exactly how I am leading you into your next chapter. Things that once confused you will now become easier to understand, not because your circumstances change, but because your spirit is standing on a higher vantage point where chaos can be seen through the lens of clarity. Just as Elisha prayed and the eyes of the servant were opened to behold the armies of heaven surrounding them, you too will see truths you could not perceive before, that you were never alone, that I fought for you on nights when you thought you were abandoned, that a wall of heavenly fire encircled you even when you could not see it. When this becomes clear, you will walk with the calm assurance of one who knows they are protected. My child, there were nights when I touched your spirit without you realizing it. When you fell asleep exhausted, I rearranged the boundaries of your mind, healing gaps you had no strength to confront in the daylight. The gentle dreams you did not fully understand were messages I sent to soothe your soul after long days of battle. Sometimes you woke with an inexplicable peace that was because I was working through the night on the deepest parts of you. Not a single moment of your sleep went unguarded. Not a single breath escaped heaven's notice. I do not merely care for your life, I care for your spirit as a precious treasure that will never be lost. Emotions shift with every passing breeze, but trust is rooted in the truth that I have never broken a promise. In this season, you will realize that I am not calling you to run quickly, but to walk steadily, for it is steadiness that reveals the long path you cannot see when you fixate on fleeting moments. I do not guide you with flashes, I guide you with enduring light. So nothing can mislead you when your eyes remain on me. You will begin to hear your own voice more clearly, not the voice of fear or memory, but the voice of the person I created you to be. 2 hours of weeping in my presence can teach you more than a year of suppressing yourself. I allowed you to sit in silence so you could learn to recognize my voice in spaces that once felt empty. And now, as you stand at this threshold, my voice will grow familiar, not forceful, not heavy, not urgent, but gentle and powerful. Like the sound Adam heard in the garden in the cool of the day, a voice not meant to condemn, but to draw you back to where you belong. What I want you to understand most deeply is this: you are stepping into a territory where darkness no longer has a language to speak against you. Accusation has lost its strength. Shame has been lifted from your name. Fear falls from you like the final dry leaves of a fading season. You are not walking as someone fleeing the past. You are walking as someone returning home. And that home is not a physical place, but a spiritual position where you are no longer swayed by human voices, where you are shaped by my truth, where you are covered by a light that cannot be extinguished. And as you stand in that sacred space, know this: the things I began in your darkest season will now rise like a harvest after the rain. You will see the whispers I placed in your heart becoming reality one piece at a time. You will see my faithfulness quiet yet undeniable. And you will know that everything you endured was never meant to drain you. It was meant to bring you to this place, the place of the restored, the elevated, the one clothed in heavenly glory. My child, as you step into the final stretch of the journey I have prepared for you, a fullness is rising in your soul like a river that has pushed through its last jagged rocks and now begins to widen into the open sea. Every season you have walked through, whether long or short, bright or dark, is being gathered into a single current. And that current is carrying you toward a place you never imagined you would reach. I see that in your mind. There have been moments when you thought you were being slowed down, held back, or even pulled backward. But my child, what you perceived as stepping back was, in truth, my leading you onto side paths to avoid things your eyes could not yet see. When I go before you, I do not only clear a way, I also remove the sharp turns that would make you stumble if you rushed ahead too soon. Every step that felt slow was actually my protection. Every time you thought you were standing still was a moment when I was rearranging the circumstances around you to match my perfect timing. In this very hour, there is a powerful convergence between what I have spoken over your life and the reality you are about to enter. You have passed through many seasons where my promises seem to lie still in the silence. But now those words are beginning to stir the depths of the spiritual realm, like a distant rumble announcing the approach of an army. Not an army of battle, but an army of faithfulness. For what I whispered into your spirit long ago has now come to the time of fulfillment. You do not realize that every prayer you once breathed in desperation, fragility, or weakness has been gathered by me like seeds. And now that the season has come, those seeds are pushing their way through the soil. They are no longer buried in the dark. They are breaking through the surface green, strong, and full of life. In these past years, you have walked like someone moving through fog, only seeing a few steps ahead and not understanding why I did not let you see further. But if you look closely, you will see it was precisely in those misty seasons that your soul learned to lean on me instead of on your own certainty. I slowed your pace so your feet could learn to discern which path was mine and which path was formed by fear. If I had shown you the entire road from the beginning, you would have relied more on your own ability than on my strength. So every thick veil of fog you thought was blinding you was actually the cloak I used to keep you safe while I prepared what lay ahead. You are entering a part of the journey where every past season has been woven together to prepare you for this moment. Each time you chose kindness while you were wounded. Each time you kept your heart clean when you had the chance to retaliate. Each time you decided to trust me instead of agreeing with the lies of fear. Every one of those choices became a foundation stone, lifting you higher. These things did not disappear like raindrops into the ground. They soaked into your soul, making you steadier, deeper, and clearer within. This is what no one else can see from the outside. But I see every small thing you have done, and I will not allow any of it to be wasted. As the appointed time draws near, you will begin to sense a ripeness inside you, like a flower that blooms not because it tries harder, but because its season has arrived. No flower can open while it is still bound by winter. And in the same way, you could not step into glory before your roots were deep enough. But now those roots are ready. I have nourished them through hardships you believed were weakening you. Yet in truth, they have made you stronger than ever. You did not know that in those years when you bowed your head in exhaustion or tears, I was at work beneath the surface where no one could see. Now what I have sown is beginning to blossom. You are about to move into a phase where everything starts to align like interlocking gears that have just been oiled at the right moment. You will see connections you could never have imagined. Doors you never knocked on, opening gently before you. Opportunities that once avoided you, now coming in search of you. This is not luck, it is because I have brought you to the right position. Everything you thought you had lost, I am rewriting in another form. Everything that seemed to be taken from your hands was, in reality, moved by me so I could return it to you in a more complete way. My child, there are people who left your life not because you lacked value, but because they could not go with you into the season that lies ahead. I did not discard them from you. I simply cleared the way so you could step into a space where no old chain of energy could bind you anymore. Separation is not loss, it is refinement. And what remains after refinement is always gold pure, bright, and enduring. You are that gold. A soul that has passed through fire not to be destroyed, but to be refined. You have asked me if there is truly a place where you belong, if there is truly a path meant for you, or if all of this has only been hope you told yourself to hold on. I speak to you at this very moment. There is a place for you, and you are moving into it. It is not fantasy, it is not delusion, it is a reality drawing near like sunlight, slowly spreading across the morning ground. Destiny never abandons you. It simply waits for the moment you are strong enough to step into it. And now that strength is alive within you, my child. In this rising, I am not only opening a new chapter, I am closing the old ones completely. You will no longer return to the cycles that used to strangle your soul. You will no longer see past pain as a looming shadow. You will no longer view former failures as final endings. I am gathering all of it, laying it down, and sealing it with a mark no hand can remove. You are not just being freed from what bound you, you are entering the freedom I intended for you from the very beginning. You are not stepping into this final segment as someone carrying anxiety, but as someone clothed in alignment, not because you did enough, but because you allowed me to do enough within you, not because you are perfect, but because my perfection has covered what you could never fix by yourself. Not because you are worthy by human standards, but because you are worthy in the way heaven has always seen you. You are stepping into what belongs to you, not what you had to fight and claw to obtain. And as you stand at this threshold, know that I have not brought you here to leave you. I have brought you here to lift you higher than anything you have ever imagined. What I am about to do in your life will make you realize that every tear, every long night, every moment you thought you would collapse was never meaningless. All of it has led you to this very point where you are covered by my presence, strengthened by my light, and called by the name I gave you from the beginning. My beloved, you will feel a kind of peace unlike anything you have ever known. Not a peace born from smooth circumstances, nor from the disappearance of difficulties, but a peace that sinks into your very bones, as if your soul has finally found its true rhythm after a long and weary journey. This peace is not the final reward, it is the first sign that your feet are stepping onto promised ground. For only when the soul is at rest can you hear my voice clearly, without distortion from fear or from whispers of the dark. I did not lead you here so your soul would shrink again. I led you here so you would taste the freedom I prepared for you before the beginning of time. There are things you only see once you have come through seasons that seem endless. When you were in the midst of the storm, you could not distinguish my voice from the roar of your anxiety. When you were inside the furnace of testing, you could not recognize the new form I was carving within you. But now, as you step out of that fire, you will look back and see that the flames did not consume you. They burned away the chains you had grown accustomed to carrying. You are not emerging as someone who has lost. You are emerging as someone purified. And it is this very transformation that allows you to stand where the you of previous seasons could never have stood. I know there are still days when your heart questions, not because you lack faith, but because you have walked through so many disappointments that your heart has become cautious. But what I want you to understand is this caution is not the absence of faith. It is a sign of maturity. When you ask me, "Is this real?" I do not rebuke you. I see in that question a heart that continues to seek confirmation from heaven, not reassurance from people. I do not require you to walk in blind denial. I ask you to walk in trust. And as you move forward step by step, you will encounter signs that let you know I am right there, not distant, not silent, not abandoning you. I am clearing the way before you in a manner that will leave you in awe. Things that once seemed random will begin to line up like footprints in the sand, leading you to the appointment of destiny. You will see meetings that once appeared incidental, suddenly carrying great meaning. You will recognize words you heard in passing now becoming keys that open specific doors. Opportunities you thought had slipped away will return not to test you again, but to place into your hands what you were not yet mature enough to hold before. All of this is arranged according to a heavenly timetable, a schedule that does not miss a single heartbeat. In this season, I am teaching you to distinguish between the doors I open and the doors you try to force. The doors I open do not crush you with pressure. They carry a deep peace and inner alignment. They do not demand that you fight to prove your right to exist. They make you feel as though you are being brought into a place that has always belonged to you. Like the well-fitted garment Joseph put on when he stepped into his new role. The door I open will cause you to recognize at once, this is where he has appointed me. And as you walk in, you will see that the places once occupied by others now stand ready for you, as if angels have been saving that seat all along. My child, I am not only changing your environment, I am transforming the way you move within it. You will no longer walk with your head bowed in fear of being wrong, nor trembling because you think you are not enough. You have learned to stand in the steadiness of one who knows heaven stands behind them. Fear may still whisper, but it will no longer govern you. Doubt may still echo, but it will no longer lead you. Because you have come to know the truth, you are not walking alone. My child, as you rise higher, you will also begin to recognize that the words which once wounded you have lost their power. They fall away like dry fragments when your soul becomes wrapped in the armor of peace. This shift does not come from you becoming tougher. It comes from your refusal to agree with the old lies. You lived for so long inside stories others placed upon you that you forgot the story I wrote for you. But now that true story is resurfacing like a message in a bottle that has survived the storm and washed ashore. And once you read again the words I wrote from the beginning, you will never believe the voices that stand against you. My beloved, I am narrowing the distance between what you have seen in your spirit and what you are about to see with your physical eyes. Those fleeting images you once thought were mere dreams were in truth visions I planted within your heart. They are not illusions, they are glimpses of the future drawing near. I do not give visions to tease the soul, I give them to guide you toward the direction I have chosen. Just as Abraham looked up at the night sky and saw the stars, not simply to admire them but to gain the correct perspective for what I had promised. You too are being given a vision that rises above your present reality. I have seen your persistence, not the loud kind, but the quiet, steadfast endurance of someone who continues choosing what is right when no one is watching, someone who keeps a gentle heart even when misunderstood, someone who keeps moving forward while carrying a few unhealed cracks in their spirit. It is this quiet perseverance that moves me to shift heaven and earth to bring you into the place worthy of your heart. You are not rising by luck, you are rising by faithfulness. You will notice that the fears which once roared now grow silent. The memories that once shook you lose their sharpness. And the wounds that once brought storms no longer disturb the waters of your soul, not because they vanish, but because my light within you has become so strong that darkness can no longer cling to you. You are carrying a new radiance, not the radiance of someone who has just been lifted up, but the radiance of one who has been softened, yet strengthened, humbled yet filled with authority through many seasons of refining. What I am doing in this stretch of the journey is not intended to bring you into a temporary place, but into a position where your very presence carries influence. Your journey is not for you alone, it is also for those who will find their way by seeing the light that shines from within you. I am turning your life into a testimony, not a testimony of easy victories, but one of faithfulness that endures through every season. This testimony will awaken weary spirits, soften hardened hearts, and sow hope into places long dried out by the winds of life. You are stepping into a moment where everything is arranged before you bear my fingerprints. You do not need to fear losing your way, for I have not brought you to the end only to abandon you. You are moving within the perfect current of heaven, where each step aligns with my rhythm, and every beat of that rhythm carries life, peace, and unfailing faithfulness. My child, now, as you stand at the threshold of this final arc of the journey, I want you to pause for a moment and deeply sense the holiness surrounding you. Not a holiness that makes you tremble in fear, but a holiness as gentle as the first thin light of dawn, a light that softens the soul the instant it touches it, making everything inside you quiet, renewed, and full of hope. You have reached this place not by the strength of your own legs, but by my hand lifting you through every season. You have walked through days so suffocating you almost gave up, and you have walked through days where unexpected peace soothed your heart. All of this has now formed a complete circle, like a song finally reaching the note it was destined for from the beginning. This moment is not merely the end of a journey, it is the meeting point between what you have endured and what you are about to receive. You do not stand before a vague turning point, you stand before a door so wide that its light is already spilling outward, illuminating corners of your heart you still held onto out of habit. Everything misaligned with who you are becoming, old fears, old memories, old invisible chains is melting in that light. You do not need to force yourself to let go. The light will do that work for you. And within that melting, your soul will feel itself grow lighter, free from the weight of years that once felt too long and too harsh. As I bring you to this culmination, I have not forgotten a single tear you shed. I have stored every sigh, every half-spoken prayer, every time you whispered, "I'm too tired," with no one around to hear. I saw it all, and none of it disappeared into the emptiness of the universe. Each one became a quiet stream watering the soil of your soul, so that today you stand here with a strength even you did not know you had. That strength does not come from hardness, but from healing, not from forcing yourself to be strong, but from allowing me to strengthen you. You will realize that the things you once feared no longer echo through your mind. The voices that once dragged you downward no longer hold authority over your spirit. You have walked through far too much to lend your ears to words that hold no life. You have endured too much to be bound by voices that did not come from me. For through every step, every wound, every moment you thought you could not continue, I have been placing within you a new kind of authority, an authority quiet, enduring, and so deeply rooted that no false word can take root in your soul anymore. What you once saw as fragility will become your anchor. What you once treated as intuition will become confirmation. What you once wished for in silence will rise like a spoken decree from heaven. I do nothing halfway. When I open, none can shut. And when I shut, none can open. What I am doing in your life now is something I ordained long before you knew how to pray. Do not assume that this fullness means there will be no more challenges. Challenges will come, but you have changed. What once made you tremble will now make you stand firmer. What once confused you will now push you to grasp my hand more tightly. What once made you want to run will now draw you closer to me. You have learned the rhythm of my spirit, and when a soul knows that rhythm, it can no longer be swept away by the frantic pace of the world. You will walk with a new calm, not because life has grown easier, but because you have been placed in the right position, with the right heart, at the right moment. This is when I want you to understand deeply that you are not merely reaching the end of a journey. You are beginning a new one built on a far stronger foundation. You are like a branch that has weathered many storms, and now your roots have sunk so deep that nothing can shake you. From those roots, your new season will sprout, expand, and bear fruit, not the kind of fruit that lasts for just one season, but fruit that embeds itself into the next generation, touching those who will encounter the light you carry. What I am doing in you does not stop with you. It flows through you into every life you will meet. Help, love, and lift. My child, your presence has become gentle, yet weighty. You no longer need many words to be heard. The stillness within you speaks on your behalf. You do not need to prove yourself to be recognized. The light in your eyes already testifies. You do not need to fight to remain standing. It is the peace you carry that keeps you upright. This does not come from skill, talent, or effort, but from my companionship in every breath. Your very being has become evidence that I have touched you in a way no human hand ever could. When I look at you today, I see a soul restored, rebuilt, and illuminated in the way I desired from the moment I formed you. I do not see your wounds as barriers. I see them as places where my light has entered. I do not see you as one who once fell. I see you as one who rose again. I do not see you as a person of former chapters. I see you as the one belonging to the new chapter, one in which glory is no longer a distant idea, but something that flows through your life with quiet strength. My child, this final segment is not a farewell, it is an entrusting. I place into your hands the life you have been prepared to carry. I place into your heart the wisdom you have been refined to hold. I place into your soul the light you were destined to release. You do not step out of this journey weary. You step out as one who bears a commission. You are not merely a survivor. You are one who is being sent. And as you step into tomorrow, you will understand that everything you have walked through was never meant to weaken you, but to turn you into living evidence that I am the one who restores, the one who guides, and the one who completes all things. Now, go forth, not with fear, but with affirmation, not with doubt, but with trust, not searching, but receiving. For you are walking into the very thing I ordained for you from the beginning. And I, the one who sustained you in every breath, will continue to walk with you through each day that follows. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving the living word together, building unshakable faith, and walking in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.